12.46 seconds. That's the time. A Division III athlete with no scholarship, no sports science staff, and no track team budget worth mentioning just ran a hurdles race that on paper shouldn't exist. Not at her level, not from her conference, not from a program most people couldn't find on a map. When three-time Olympic gold medalist Selena Marsh saw the clip, she didn't post a reaction immediately. She watched it 4 times first, in silence, before she said a single word on camera. We will get to that. But first, you need to understand just how impossible this story actually is. Because 12.46 seconds doesn't just mean she's fast for a Division III athlete. It means that time, dropped into last year's World Championship final, lands her on the podium, not close to the podium, on it, ahead of sprinters from programs with budgets bigger than her entire university's athletic department. And Reagan Voss did it without a single one of the resources that are supposed to be required to get there. Twin Falls, Idaho, population just over 50,000, famous, if it's famous for anything, for a canyon and a waterfall, not for producing hurdlers who threaten world championship times. Reagan Voss grew up about 4 blocks from her high school track, a track that doubled as the football team's practice field every fall, which meant the hurdles lane was rutted with cleat marks half the season. She didn't come from a track family. Her father worked at a feed supply distributor. Her mother managed a dental office. Nobody in her household had ever watched a track meet that wasn't her own. She started hurdling at 14 because the sprint coach needed bodies for an event nobody else wanted to run, and she happened to have the stride length for it. That's it. That's the entire origin of a career that would eventually put her name in front of millions of people. No prodigy narrative, no childhood Olympic dream taped to a bedroom wall, just a kid who was good at something nobody else on her team wanted to do. By her senior year, she was running 13.21, a strong time for a 5A Idaho State meet, completely irrelevant on a national recruiting board. And that's exactly how the next phase of her story unfolded. Here's where most of these stories get vague, and we're not going to do that. We're going to name names. Reagan sent film and times to 11 Division I programs the spring of her senior year. 11. Schools with hurdles coaches whose entire job is finding exactly this kind of athlete. 9 never responded. 2 sent form letter rejections, the kind that thank you for your interest in the program and wish you success in your future athletic endeavors. The kind that take less effort to write than it takes to read. Callaway State, a mid-major with a hurdles group that had produced 2 national qualifiers in the previous 5 years, was the program she wanted most. Their assistant coach watched her film for 90 seconds on a recruiting call, according to Reagan's own account of the conversation, and told her the program was looking for hurdlers who were already finished products. She was 17. The message from programs like Callaway State was clear. You are not good enough for us. Not yet. Maybe not ever. And when no Division I offer materialized, she did the thing that every analyst, every recruiting service, every algorithm built to predict athletic outcomes would have told her not to do. She went to a Division III school nobody had heard of on an academic scholarship that had nothing to do with track and decided to keep running anyway. But then comes the part of the story that almost nobody knows.
Division III programs can't offer athletic scholarships. That's not a budget problem, it's a structural one. Reagan's tuition was covered by an academic award. Everything else, the supplemental coaching, the recovery work, the equipment most D1 athletes get handed without a second thought, that was on her. So she worked mites. 3 overnight shifts a week at a regional distribution warehouse an hour outside campus, stacking pallets from 11 at night until 6 in the morning, then driving straight to an 8 a.m. class running on no sleep. The money from those shifts went almost entirely to one thing: paying a private hurdles technician, a retired local coach, for 3 mornings a week of one-on-one work that her own school's program couldn't provide. Those sessions happened at 5:30 in the morning, before her warehouse shifts wore off, on a junior college track with cracked lane lines and a long jump pit that hadn't been raked since the previous spring. No starting blocks with the budget of a D1 program, no biomechanics lab, no recovery staff. Just a cracked track, a stopwatch, and a coach who believed her splits were lying to everybody who'd passed on her. That detail right there is the whole story. Before we get to what that sacrifice actually bought her, and it bought her something almost nobody saw coming, I want you to answer something in the comments, because I genuinely don't know which way this breaks. Do you think Regan Voss makes the U.S. Olympic trials roster outright, or does the depth of American hurdling keep a Division III name off that list no matter what the clock says? Drop your answer below. I need to know before we go any further. Here's the number, raw, no context yet, 12.46. Sit with that for a second, because here's where it starts to mean something. Regan's high school best was 13.21. 3 years of 5:30 mornings on a cracked junior college track got her down to 12.94 by her sophomore year, a massive jump on its own, the kind of improvement that would headline most college programs' season. Nobody outside her conference noticed. Then, this spring, at a meet most casual fans have never heard of, she ran 12.46. 12.46. Think about what that actually means for one more second before I tell you the part that should genuinely unsettle you. That same race in last year's World Championship 100-meter hurdles final doesn't just qualify her, it medals her. Bronze position, ahead of professional hurdlers from national federations with full-time medical staffs, altitude training camps, and shoe contracts worth more than her entire university spends on track and field in a year. Not top 8 in her region, not first in her conference, bronze medal position against the best hurdlers alive on the planet right now. Let that land. Now, here's the part that takes this out of incredible underdog story and into a different category entirely. 12.46 seconds is the fastest 100-meter hurdles time ever recorded by a Division III athlete in the history of the division. Not by 100th of a second, not by a margin you could argue about, by nearly 4/10ths of a second. In a sprint hurdles event, 4/10ths of a second isn't a gap, it's a different race. She is also the first woman in Division III history to break 12.5 seconds in this event, full stop. That is not a small fact, that is a historic fact that puts this performance in a completely different category than fast for her level. There is no asterisk that fully explains it away. The division record didn't move closer to 12.46, it got obliterated by it.
So here's what happened in the minutes right after the race. And this is the part that when Selena Marsh finally did post her reaction, is the part she said actually got to her. Regan didn't go to the cameras first. There were reporters waiting, a small crowd forming near the finish line, people already pulling out phones. She walked past all of it to find the one person who'd been at every 5:30 morning session for 2 years, the retired coach who'd been timing her with a personal stopwatch on a cracked junior college track before sunrise 3 days a week. She found him in the stands and she just hugged him. No interview first, no speech, nothing for the cameras. Later that night, she posted exactly one photo. Not the medal, not the scoreboard, not a victory shot, a photo of that same cracked junior college track at dawn, the one with the long jump pit that never got raked. The caption was 4 words, "This track first." Not a speech, not a list of every program that passed on her, just a photo of a track most people would never look at twice, and the 2 words that mattered most to the only people who'd actually earned them. That's the moment, Selena Marsh said when she finally did post about it, that she re-watched 4 times before commenting. Not the race itself, but that photo sitting next to the time. She said it reminded her why she ran in the first place, back before anyone was paying attention to her splits either. Los Angeles 2028 is 2 years away. Regan Voss will be 24 years old, squarely in the window most hurdlers consider their physical prime, at the one Olympic Games in her lifetime that will take place on American soil, in front of an American crowd, with the entire pressure of a home games behind every American name on that start line. So here's the question, and I want a real answer in the comments, not just a guess. Does Regan Voss qualify outright for Team USA's 100-meter hurdle squad at the trials? Or does the deepest hurdles roster in American history keep a Division III name off that team no matter what the clock says she's capable of? Drop your answer below. Does she make it, or does depth at the top beat raw speed from nowhere? And if this is the kind of story you didn't expect to get invested in this fast, subscribe, because next week we're covering a Division II javelin thrower who broke a 40-year-old conference record using a throwing technique her own coaches initially told her to abandon, and what happened when a national team coach finally saw the film.